Welcome back to the continuing adventures of the monad. A lot of attention is paid by people to the concept of the third eye and what it might represent. We shall see that this topic is more about the direction of vision than the organ of vision, whatever that organ is deemed to be. There are three ways to focus your thought. There is concentration, which leads to meditation, and finally ends up by initiating contemplation. Contemplation can be thought of as a state of steady vision. It is focused narrowly towards a specific object. When it comes to our Solar Deva, they are capable of looking in three directions simultaneously. The first direction the Solar Deva looks in is towards the third triad, worlds 43 to 45, and all the beings that dwell there, especially the Protogonoi, who are their prototype. As we humans eventually aspire towards the second triad, they aspire towards the third triad. The second direction of view is into the second triad and the fifth kingdom, where they dwell, worlds 46, 1 to 7. This includes the apex of the fourth kingdom, the causal world, 47, 1 to 3. These two directions of view constitute the Solar Deva spiritual world and the world they aspire towards. In a similar manner, an aspirant sets as its goal the ability to master its envelopes of incarnation. There is a ladder of escalating perception. An aspirant functioning from their 47-4 permanent molecule has the ability to start to function with causal consciousness. Once this causal consciousness is fully developed, the monad can start to aspire to world 46, the world of unity. Now, the monad can begin the process of contacting the third triad through the Protogonoi. On the third triad are the last three centers, 43-4, 44-1, and 45-1. It may not have escaped your attention that if this working hypothesis is correct, we aspire towards unity consciousness 46, and this only happens when we reach the level of the aspirant. How then is it possible for any of us to be in contact with Christ Maitreya, who is on the third triad on the 43-1 plane of matter? Something to contemplate. This brings us to the third direction a Solar Deva may look. It objectively views worlds 46 to 49. What is the purpose of this particular direction of view? It has been to help humanity in their struggle between their lower and their higher causal envelopes. The higher envelope has for most of us been the exclusive domain of our solar angel. Our evolution through the fourth kingdom has brought us to the point where we have the potential to be aware of the forces emanating from our causal envelopes. This is the result of the contemplation of our guardian angel. Lars tells us there is a definite relationship between these three directions of contemplation. They are linked to three major envelope centers. The first of these is the eyebrow, heart, and throat chakra. This latter develops into a triangle involving the crown, heart, and throat centers. There is no set formula for awakening these centers. Their sequence and mode of activation is for the monad to work out for themselves. One thing to note is that only a third self is able to use the eyebrow chakra fully to do magical work. By using the third eye, Solar Devas and the second self humans set out to accomplish three activities. The first is vision. As our physical eyes register physical forms, our brow chakra allows us to contact the consciousness of those forms. The second activity of the third eye is to be the center of control of magical work. All white magic is constructive through the use of intelligent will. Notice here the word will. Where do we find will in full force on the second triad? It is in World 45. You can see here a chain developing. When you talk about the divine plan, neither 46 self-devas nor causal self-47 humans know directly what the plan is. That is executed by a monad at the other end of the second triad, a 45 self, the realm of the masters. All the 47 and 46 selves have to do is get themselves into alignment, and the intelligent will of the masters is enacted in the three worlds of humanity, 47 to 49. It is through the focus of the third eye, as well as the physical eyes, that this force flows to achieve its outcome. The third activity accomplished through the third eye is destruction. Energy flowing through this center can have a disintegrating and destructive effect. Again, focused by the intelligent will from World 45, it can drive out physical matter and do purifying work. Our chakras are not just found in our etheric envelope, they have corresponding foci in our emotional and mental envelopes. Therefore, it is through the corresponding brow centers found on the emotional and mental planes that the monad sees these worlds. This is not to be confused with clairvoyance, which uses the navel chakra as its focal point and leads to all manner of fantasies. With the brow chakra, we are not talking about objective vision, but objective causal consciousness focused through these centers. This affords the viewer a causal perspective of this world. This is reality as it appears in matter. Let's summarize how these three activities of the second self, performed through the third eye, relate to the three triads. Seeing light within all forms through the third eye corresponds to the physical eye of the first triad. The control of magnetic energy and the attractive force in the spiritual eye corresponds to the second triad. It is the attractive force which is the hallmark of the 46th world, directed through the eyebrow center, that is the dominant factor in white magic. The whole second triad is the eye of the third triad. It allows the third triad to work through this intermediary triad to view the lowest triad. The force of destruction linked to the third direction of view is similar to the concept of Shiva, who is known as the destroyer and is linked to first ray energy and also the third triad. It is therefore through destruction that the monad releases itself from the lower two triads. The lower triad centers are burnt out, vaporized if you will. The mythological portrayal of Shiva as this terrifying force of destruction is just an allegory of how a monad releases itself from the cosmic physical kingdom and their triadic structure that has allowed it to function in this kingdom. This destruction ends the cycle of creative magical work. The third eye has a major role to play in our development. It begins to function when we develop our consciousness, bringing it into the right alignment. This allows the inflow of energies from the second triad. The next stage is that magical forces make themselves felt, controlling the elementals of the lower envelopes. The persona in charge of the first triad is no longer in control. The causal self now dominates its envelope of incarnation. It now can focus its attention through its chakras into its etheric envelope. A chain of command is now set up. The monad focused in the crown chakra directs its attention in the region of the third eye and enacts its will. This energy can be channeled into the etheric envelope and through any chakra that magic needs to be performed. This goes down as low as the heart chakra, but not lower. If the energy descends below the heart into the lower three centers, white magic ceases to be performed. Why? The three lowest chakras are under the control of the persona, not the causal self. By definition, all white magic is intelligent process. Why so? Because it is initiated from the causal part of the mental envelope and uses mental consciousness. To yield results in white magic, the impulse of will from the causal body must be perceived by the mental body and transmitted to the etheric envelope. When the monad is fully in charge of copying this mental thought form and impressing it in the etheric envelope, it fully takes charge of making a form out of magic. Just as mental elementals are activated to make a thought form, a magician is able to see the thought form they are making on the physical plane. How exactly is this form made? There are three stages again. In the first stage, the monad enters the center of the causal envelope and from there contacts the crown chakra of the etheric envelope. It is done through contemplation. A completed work is envisioned, not the process leading up to the goal. There is no time and space element involved. The second stage is the mental response to the causal impulse, which then synthesizes the thought form. How good this thought form is depends on the contents of the mental envelope. If the mental envelope mirrors the causal envelope, a faithful reproduction is made. Beginners tend to end up with a distortion in the final product. By the way, this is the way all great works of art and culture are brought into existence. This may explain why the geniuses involved are often critical of their own endeavors. They know what the causal prototype looks like. They have not been able to manifest it accurately down here. Now, you know why mystery schools made such a big deal about being able to focus consciousness, to visualize, to build thought forms, and to accurately grasp causal intent. This is why the white magician starts by trying to visualize themselves as a perfected human. Control is gradually gained over the envelopes of incarnation, and it is from there that an interest in performing white magic should begin to manifest itself, not before this time. Finally, the third step in form making takes place. The brain, mental, and causal envelopes align. The plan is sensed. The thought form exists as a result of the previous two activities, but exists in the brain only. It must now exit into the physical world. This double alignment, the mental with the causal and the mental with the brain, results in making a focal center in the head of the magician. Energy flows through this center into the three distributing agents working in parallel. The right eye is for the energy from the third triad. The left eye is for the energy from the second triad, and the hands for the energy of the first triad. These are all technical details and only of use to experienced practitioners of magic. But the symbolic aspects of their three channels are worth pondering over. In the next presentation, we look at how magical work is performed in the physical world. Thank you.